All right, welcome to the Explainer. We're going to kick things off with a huge volcanic eruption. But this isn't just about lava and ash. Nope. This is a story about our planet literally ripping itself in two. And believe it or not, the birth of a brand new ocean. So yeah, let's dive right in.
Okay, so our story kicks off on November 23rd, way out in a remote corner of Ethiopia. There's this volcano, Hayli Gubbi. And get this, it's been silent for something like 12,000 years. And then, all of a sudden, it woke up. And it wasn't a gentle wake-up call, it was incredibly violent.
Just try to picture this for a second. A massive column of ash and rock just blasting straight up into the sky. We're talking 50,000 feet high. To put that in perspective, that is way, way above where commercial airplanes cruise.
And this wasn't just, a little puff of smoke. The ash cloud it created was so huge that satellites orbiting our planet could see it plain as day. We're talking about an event on a planetary scale here. Now, for the people on the ground, even folks who were like 190 kilometers away, the sound was just terrifying. They said it wasn't a rumble. It was a bang, like a massive bomb going off. A shockwave that literally shook the whole region.
And here's where you really see the global impact. That ash, it didn't just hang around Ethiopia. Oh no. The jet stream grabbed it and just took off, carrying it over the Middle East all the way to India, where it actually started causing flight cancellations. And guess what? It's still moving.
So, you might be wondering, why is this such a huge deal for airplanes? Well, this ash isn't like soft fireplace soot. It's actually tiny, super sharp particles of rock and volcanic glass. And if a jet engine sucks that stuff in, it can melt, turn back into rock, and completely shut the engine down mid-flight. Not only that, it acts like sandpaper on the cockpit windows, basically blinding the pilots. Okay, so let's zoom in on where this volcano actually is, because this place, it's one of the most extreme, most fascinating spots on the entire planet. This volcano, Hayli Gubbi, is located in this huge, remote area known as the Danakil Depression. And I'm telling you, this place looks totally alien. It's a landscape straight out of science fiction, carved by incredible heat and just immense geological power.
I mean, for a geologist, this place is a dream come true. It's one of the hottest places on Earth where people actually live, with temperatures that can soar past 50 degrees Celsius. It's below sea level, it's packed with volcanoes, and it has these wild, colorful landscapes from all the chemical reactions going on. But wow, is it a tough place to survive. And all of this brings us to the big question, right? How does a volcano stay asleep for 12,000 years? I mean, think about all the human history that's happened in that time. And then suddenly, bam, it erupts with this much power. What on earth could have triggered that?
Well, the answer isn't just about what's going on under this one volcano. It's much, much bigger than that. It's about what's happening under the entire African continent. Yeah, you heard that right. This eruption, it's not a one-off event. It's actually a pretty violent symptom of a gigantic slow-motion process. The continent of Africa is literally tearing itself in two, right along this massive crack in the Earth's crust. So to really wrap our heads around this, we need a quick reminder about tectonic plates. Just think of the Earth's surface not as one solid piece, but more like a giant jigsaw puzzle. And the pieces of that puzzle are these massive slabs of rock that are always on the move, bumping into each other, sliding past, and, in this case, pulling apart. Now, what's so cool about this is that we've seen this movie before. Millions of years ago, the Arabian plate started pulling away from the African plate. The gap between them filled up with water, and boom, you get the Red Sea. Well, what's happening now is that the African plate itself is splitting into two new pieces, the Nubian plate on the west and the Somali plate over on the east. And this continental breakup is creating one of the most massive, most dramatic features you can find anywhere on the planet's surface. It's called the East African Rift.
I mean, the scale here is just mind-boggling. This isn't a small crack. It's a whole system of valleys and fractures that stretches for 6,000 kilometers. That's from the Red Sea all the way down through Ethiopia and Kenya and on to Mozambique. And you know what? This rift is responsible for some of Africa's most famous landmarks. You've got the huge volcanic mountains like Kilimanjaro and Mount Kenya, the incredibly deep Great Lakes like Tanganyika and Malawi. They all exist for one reason. The Earth's crust is being stretched thin right along this exact line. So this whole process has been going on for millions of years, right? But what's crazy is that we're seeing real, live evidence that things are speeding up in this area.
Just think about it. Back in 2005, a crack 60 kilometers long opened up in the desert in just 10 days. And now, in 2025, we've had eruptions from 2 different volcanoes right nearby. And this is what's so wild about geology. It's a total paradox. On one hand, these plates are moving apart at about the same speed your fingernails grow, super slow, just a couple centimeters a year. But that tiny, constant stretching builds up an unbelievable amount of stress. And then, all at once, that stress gets released in sudden, super violent events, just like this eruption. So, where is all this heading? What's the end game here? What does the future look like for the continent of Africa with this monumental process underway? Well, if you think in terms of geological time, the future is pretty much set in stone. Scientists figure that in about, say, 5 to 10 million years, this whole split will be complete.
What's going to happen is the East African Rift Valley will just keep getting wider and deeper, and eventually the ocean, water from the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, is going to rush in and flood the whole thing. And just like that, you've got a new sea. The whole eastern slice of Africa, Somalia, parts of Kenya, Ethiopia, it's all going to break off and become a brand new giant island continent. So the big takeaway here is pretty amazing. We're not just watching some random volcano erupt. We are literally witnessing the birth of a new ocean, happening in real time. Every single earthquake, every new crack in the ground, it's like another birth pang in this colossal planetary event. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other huge changes are happening slowly and silently right under our feet? What will the map of our world even look like 10 million years from now?